John Lennon wrote some of the most iconic, timeless piano songs ever, and he has a very distinctive, simple but effective style at the piano. So today we're going to look at 3 ways we can sound like John Lennon. We're going to look at 3 of his trademark approaches to playing and writing at the piano. And we're going to start with what I think is the most John Lennon sounding thing you can do at the piano, which is this. What am I doing there? Well, I'm just taking a chord, C major for example, and then I'm playing the top 2 notes, E and G, followed by the bottom note, C, on its own. If we take this down an octave, well, we recognisably get actually 2 different John Lennon songs. We get Imagine, right? Although Imagine is usually played with 2 hands, when we ball it down, it is just a chord with the top 2 notes played and the bottom note. What I would call the top-bottom approach. Another John Lennon song that does this with the exact same chord, it's very similar actually, is Watching the Wheels. So that is all the same idea, right? Taking a chord, once again C major, doing top and bottom. We can also see this in some of the work he did in the Beatles, like I Am the Walrus. The opening chord that we get, it's actually on an electric piano. It's the same idea, right? It's this time a B major chord with the top 2 notes played and then the bottom note. Sort of pivoting, top to bottom seesaw sound that creates so much motion in a piano part. So you can apply this to your own playing. If you want to get that John Lennon-ness into your piano sound, it doesn't matter what chord you're playing. This is the G chord, for example. Play those top 2 notes and then play the bottom note. And maybe add a note below, like G. And it feels like John Lennon is about to start singing. The second way that we can sound like John Lennon at the piano is to copy another common technique he had, which was a descending line. That's when the left hand is just walking 1 note at a time down the piano. And in his most complete examples of this, he goes all the way down. So this is in C major, right? The C white notes of the piano. And in the song I'm about to show you, he just goes from C and goes down every white note until he reaches the next C. This song is Mind Games. So we can see that the right hand is playing a bunch of relatively simple chords, and they're all glued together by the left hand, which is just walking down one by one. This is really satisfying line. John has done this descending line thing in loads of his songs. It's very much one of his trademarks, just like the top-bottom thing. And in fact, 2 of the songs we were looking at which use this top-bottom idea, the first technique we were looking at, Imagine and Watching the Wheels, they not only do this top-bottom thing, but they also do the descending line thing. So in Imagine, for example, we start off in the verse around here, but then later we get a descending line thing that sounds like this. You see there how the left hand was just walking down the white notes of the piano, gluing all of these chords together. Another example of John doing this descending line thing is his song Instant Karma. And in this song he uses it in various different places around the piano, but we keep going back to that descending line down the piano. So we start in the key of A, so we've got this A major chord. And you can see here, although it's not the white notes anymore because we're not in the key of C anymore, we are walking down the major scale, just like before. And in fact, if you recognize that from somewhere else, it's probably because I'm fairly certain Instant Karma was inspired by another John Lennon song that he wrote earlier when he was in the Beatles, All You Need Is Love, which does a very similar thing to this, right? It's very, very similar to Instant Karma, so I think John was sort of recycling the same idea there. But that's sort of why these ideas that we're looking at today are such trademarks of John Lennon's songwriting. Throughout his career, there was various ideas he came back to and found new angles for. We saw earlier that Imagine and Watching the Wheels are very, very similar parts, very, very similar ideas, but John found two different songs in there. So that's why we can go back to these common techniques that John used to evoke a John Lennon-ness in our own piano playing, because they were like his trademarks, right? The top bottom, the descending line. But anyway, going back to Instant Karma, in Instant Karma, we start with this descending line here, and then we go up to D. So we were on A here, we did the same idea, but now up on D instead. Actually, he moves it again, he moves it to C this time. So it's the same idea, this descending line, moved to 3 locations on the piano, starting with A, then going up to D, and then going to C. By the way, all of these songs we're looking at today, all of these John Lennon songs, are available to learn right now over at HDpiano.com. So do follow the link down below and start learning some of these classic songs for yourself today. So the first John Lennon trademark we looked at was this top-bottom idea. The second one was the descending line. The third and final one is really simple, and it's just simply playing long, held chords like this. Just simple chords held on their own, no extra rhythm, just holding them, letting them ring, really being able to hear that sound resonate. A great example of when John's done this is his song Mother, which is one of my absolute favourite John Lennon songs, another one that is available to learn on HDpiano. And in Mother, because we have a drum beat keeping time, all John does is just hold this chord. But because the drum beat's keeping time, it doesn't get boring. It just sits there, allows us to think. It's very pensive. He also used this idea of just really long held sustained chords on his song How as well, which is another great John Lennon solo track. And that's the thing, we can often overthink what we do on the piano, add extra rhythm, add extra notes, but sometimes just simple chords held and reflected upon is all you need. They just create that beautiful atmosphere just on their own. So that is 3 ways you can sound like John Lennon at the piano. If there's other aspects of John Lennon's playing that you think I've missed, do let me know down below in the comments. And remember that all of these songs, along with other John Lennon songs, are available to learn right now on HDpiano with really easy to follow, simple tutorial videos. So do follow the link down below to check those out right now. Thanks very much.